Breath of the Wild totally changed our perspective on Zelda's swords, shields and bows. From having one type of sword and bow at the same time and just a few shields, we suddenly had dozens of each, plus many other weapons and items that were scattered across Hyrule or were dropped as loot from enemies. Naturally, it all came at a price, as Nintendo, along with a massive variety of weapons and multiple inventory screens for these, also introduced the probably most controversial feature, besides losing grip while climbing during rain, namely weapon durability. A mechanic so hated that the Zelda team might alter it based on player feedback. It is just that along with increased durability, we could also see radical changes to the weapons found across Hyrule, with newcomers both on the surface and on the ground inside Breath of the Wild 2. But first, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the Commonwealth Realm, and press that shiny notification bell, and again for all notifications to not miss any of our upcoming videos. Hello everyone, Conrad here, and welcome to a new episode of Inside Breath of the Wild 2. If anything is likely to be drastically changed in this game, then it is weapons. The short reveal teaser more than hinted to this, as it pointed to Zelda being able to wield torches and Link's right arm being fused with Ganondorf's seal. Naturally, we have dedicated videos to how the new likelihood of Zonai origin power will impact Link's hand and how a playable Zelda could work. And we will get back briefly to the princess and her possible weapons at the end of the video. Naturally, when talking about weapons, we have to begin with the Master Sword, which despite being crucial to the story of Breath of the Wild, wasn't exactly the required weapon to bring down Calamity Ganon. Ganondorf, on the other hand, fears the fully powered blade of Evil's Bane more than anything, so much so that he in Breath of the Wild 2 flees the scene as Link copes with the severe pain involved of fusing his hand with another. This consequence alone was obviously crucial to the gameplay, as Nintendo placed it as the thumbnail for the first look trailer.
In fact, on my channel, Monster Maze, I've puzzled together the entire trailer in an attempt to make more sense out of it. The final result could hint to Ganondorf's great fear resulting in the turning point of the trailer, and that the hero of the wild might face the King of Evil with the Master Sword in his left hand, just like the Hero of Time, Hero of Winds and the Hero of Twilight did in the past. Now, it remains to be seen if Link will also be sporting the traditional green set, but that video is for a different time. For now, let's focus on the Master Sword, which will no doubt be crucial to challenge Ganondorf. Through Breath of the Wild's DLC Pack 1, the Master Trials, the Master Sword was gradually upgraded, from a mid-range weapon that only dealt 30 damage and only reached its full 60 glowing potential in Malice areas to be fully powered at any time. But what if there was a way to bring the Master Sword, much like Goku, even further beyond? A power so strong that it might not just cut down Ganondorf, but also Demise's curse itself. It's just that reaching this Super Saiyan 3 form of the Master Sword might take most of the game. In particular, if Link will be forced to learn how to wield the blade with his left hand if the fusion of the two hands will be too much. Naturally, if Link's right hand will be out of commission and replaced with Zonai items and weapons, then more than just the Master Sword might be impacted. In the case of heavy dual hand-wielding weapons like claymores, sledgehammers and boulder breakers, it could be that these weapons will not return, though that seems more unlikely.
Since it's more probable that the Zonai within will add power to Link's hand instead of removing the ability to wield traditional weapons, and shields with it. Like seriously, how would Link even be able to wield bows if the right arm was reserved for solely Zonai upgrades? Then again, that would be a perfect way to pull a Metroid, guess we need to wait to find out. The same goes for the highly priced amiibo weapons, which could be updated to contain other weapons famous from the games they represent or not be included at all. Next, we have the matter of ancient energy-fused Sheikah weapons, made by Robbie or claimed in the different shrines of Hyrule. Since, will they be gone after the first look trailer had removed all references to Sheikah technology, or will we see new ancient weapons like this ancient beam gun conceptualized by Leah Lania? You know, bringing the power of the Guardians with you across Hyrule. Leah has even made 3D models and visualizations of the gun, with in-game assets, so be sure to check out her ArtStation page in the description. Now back to the big question of ancient Sheikah tech that we simply don't know the answer to. Though, even if this gun is a pipe dream along with the rest of ancient weaponry, then we could assume that the first batch of new weapons to replace it will come from the civilization that was only teased through thunder-based weapons and the barbarian armor set, the enigmatic Zonai. And based on the hand in the reveal trailer, we're certain to see some rather mind-blowing spiritual weapons of this civilization, with destruction of thick malice and infusing power to the wielder as their speciality. Perhaps they might replace ancient Sheikah weapons altogether, or simply be a supplement to them. Time will show. Next we have the Yiga clan, who definitely could benefit from extending their arsenal from their current 4. With Ganondorf's return, we expect to see a more dangerous and vicious Yiga clan, which will be equipped with more deadly weapons inspired by Japanese history and culture of war. Naturally, to counter these weapons, the Sheik of Kakariko will likely expand and upgrade their weaponry, specifically since these weapons were not exactly the most durable or reliable in combat. Breath of the Wild 2 should change the weak demilitarized culture of the Kakariko Sheikah now that the ultimate threat has returned with a potential Yiga army by his side.
With Ganondorf and his Malice, we're also likely to see the introduction of a new type of weaponry. Malice-infused swords, spears, shields, bows, and so on. Just imagine these strengthened with Malice and with extra damage. Deadlier, more ruthless, and most of all, very powerful to use. Much like Lionel weapons found in Breath of the Wild, but with extra power added to it. Malice weapons can serve 2 purposes. The first one is only to be wielded by Ganondorf's troops and not by Link. And secondly, and more interestingly, be dropped by them and then be used by Link like with other weapons. Say they add more power to Link, much like the Barbarian set did in Breath of the Wild, making these weapons one of the most valuable against regular enemies but completely useless against Malice-covered enemies. Pretty much a dual-edged sword that could come with extreme power, but in return also slowly corrupt Link until he falls to the ground and becomes extremely vulnerable to attack. And as mentioned before, its usefulness could be limited against immune Malice-based enemies, so what could be used against them? Besides Zonai and light-based weapons, that is. Usually in Zelda games, the light arrows and divine bows were exclusive to the climax of the game. And Breath of the Wild was no different, as the Bow of Light could only be used in the final battle, or if you prefer, target practice against Dark Beast Ganon. Even so, with Amiibo you could unlock the Twilight Bow of Light and fire weaker light arrows outside of the final battle. And in Breath of the Wild 2, it is likely that more weapons will take advantage of this exclusive power.
One big reason for it is Princess Zelda and her divine sealing powers. She might or might not be playable, but as we already know from Breath of the Wild, that doesn't really matter, as divine weapons can be wielded without issues by Link. As such, we could see Zelda as the scientist she is, even crafting light-based weapons for Link and possibly herself to break the darkness and cause devastating blows to Ganondorf's forces of Malice. Imagine a divine sword other than the Master Sword or shield, that would be amazing. I would make Link an even bigger unit than he already was in Breath of the Wild. The potential for more divine-powered weapons is definitely there, as we have already played with some of them, and Zelda might have even more benefit from these than Link with her inner divine power. Which brings us to talk about her possibly having a separate inventory if she's playable. You know, with weapons that can only be wielded by her, like certain light-based weapons, to compensate for a weaker physical stature, which will make it probably impossible for her to wield heavy claymores and so on. Zelda could also have other weapons that we can definitely not comprehend, as the Zelda team always loved to surprise us, just like they did with the massive weapon variety found in Breath of the Wild. The one type of weaponry that was missing was underwater weapons. In Breath of the Wild these were not necessary, as you could just drop bombs to get some fresh fish. But if the sequel adds underwater exploration, then we could see the return of water bombs found in Twilight Princess. That and underwater combat, but we will explore that in future videos.
The point is that despite a record-breaking number of weapons in Breath of the Wild, there's still room for more weapons. Malice, Ancient, Zonai, Divine, and yes, even regular weapons. As believe us, we've likely only scratched the surface in this video of what kind of new swords, spears, items, tools, and shields the sequel could bring to the table. If there's one thing we can remember from this and other videos in the series, then it is to realize the great potential that lies within Breath of the Wild sequel. An excellent blueprint that can now be greatly expanded and improved in a sequel that might blow all of our expectations out of the sky. As that is exactly what this game needs to do also in the weapons department to surpass the masterpiece that is Breath of the Wild. But what do you think? What kind of weapons would you love to see in Breath of the Wild 2? Sound off in the comments below.
We hope you enjoyed this video, as way more Zelda videos are on the way. Also, we'll be updating soon our schedule, from the current one that we had to Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday. After finding out, we decided that this would be the best solution both for me and for Doni. And I'm also away this week, so it also made sense to upload this video on Tuesday instead, as you probably can see from the footage, since I am actually on a boat this week, and it might be included in a future Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 video. And as always, if you haven't already, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the Commonwealth Realm, and in this case also Monster Maze. Plus press the notification bell and a gun for all notifications to not miss any upcoming Zelda and Breath of the Wild 2 videos. finally, a big thanks to all our patrons and YouTube members. You can join them too and help support this channel by heading over to patreon.com/commonrealm or by pressing the join button here on YouTube. That's all for now, but until the next video in this series, why not enjoy one of these two awesome videos?